All righty, lots to work on tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so closing your eyes. And just bring the energy down from your crown. Just start in your crown and just start to let the energy flood down into your body. And then just move above your crown by about 6 inches and bring the energy down into your crown from about 6 inches. Let's keep rotating it down. And then go to 8 inches above your crown and bring it down. And as you bring it down into your crown, allow your crown chakra to expand. I want you to start, just bring the energy down to your throat and rotate it. Send it back upwards through the front and then down to the throat and then up through the front, down to the throat. And this time bring the energy down through the crown to the throat and up the back of the body, up the back, around the head, back up to the crown. And then bring the energy in through the crown and take it to the right of your head and send it up to the crown and bring it down so that you're forming like 4 circles that'll join together. They're sort of like teardrop shaped rather than circles. We're doing the right side and then do the left side. And just let the throat chakra just expand. And as the throat chakra expands, start to let the energy flow from the throat chakra down towards the heart. So the energy is coming from the crown to the throat and then to the heart. It will naturally pass through the ajna as it does that. In the center of the head, the pineal gland. And then let it drop down to your heart chakra. That's good. That's good. And then just let it drop down into the upper belly, so just above the solar plexus chakra. And then breathe in through the crown, take it down through the solar plexus to the navel. And breathe out through the navel, front and back. And then be aware in the crown, bring the energy down and out through the sacral area. And then bring the energy in through the crown, out through the base of the spine. And now let the energy come in from above, straight through the body, down through the perineum and into the earth. So that your body's almost like a puppet and that the central column is the steadfast part of self. There's quite a lot of energy of fear. I'm not sure why there's that energy of fear, but it could be anything. It could be the COVID situation. But it's an unusual thing to perceive in this group, is that energy of fear. So just taking a breath in, right, there you go. And just breathe out through the back of the neck. And just being aware of that energy of fear. And there's just there's certainly some of it that's kind of around fearing what might happen if we're not doing the people pleasing. That people won't like us, or they'll leave us, or they'll tell us to F off, whatever it is. And just breathing in through the crown, out through the back of the neck. And just being aware of that primitive brain at the back of the neck. And breathe in through the crown, out through the back of the neck. Keep breathing in through the crown, out of the back of the neck. And just being aware of, so I'm just going to Sandy to just really hold a really steadfast space as a man. And then I want all the women just being aware of domestic violence in all of its shapes and forms. and how many women get stuck in that pattern of not knowing how to get out of a domestic violence situation. Just breathing in through the crown and out through the back of the neck, and breathe in through the crown and out through the back of the head. So when I was growing up in Scotland, it was almost normal for domestic violence. You know, it was very normalized. So it's one of those hidden realities that a lot of people don't talk about. And often they don't talk about it because they feel ashamed that they've done something to deserve it. And the truth of the matter is that you never deserve violence, ever. Ever, 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 ever. There's no reason. There's never a good enough reason. So just being aware of any time you've been on the end of somebody else's conflict, and also somebody else's inability to take responsibility for their actions. Just breathing in through the crown and just release through the back of the head. So I'm not suggesting that this is necessarily something that's happening to you now, but it does feel as though there's like little snippets somewhere in some of the past experiences. So just let yourself, just within yourself, own up to it, to yourself, not to me, but to yourself. That you have been in a situation perhaps where you might have been pushed or shoved, or the expectations of you might have been that you would comply always or receive aggression if you didn't comply. And also just being aware of the service that this is for women of all kinds, all the women of the world, all of the women that you're related to, all of the women that you're friends with. Just widen and broaden your experience of who you know. And you might know some of the stories and you might not. It doesn't matter whether you know the stories or not. Just let yourself just broaden. I reckon there's a massive increase in domestic violence with the people being home in the COVID situation. So even if you're not doing it for yourself, or you don't feel you're doing it for yourself, do it for everybody, all the women. And Sandy can act on behalf of the men that this is not appropriate on any level, shape or form, in any level of consciousness, through all time, space, lifetimes, and all dimensions. And breathing in through the crown and out through the back of the neck. Then I want you just to be aware of perhaps other situations, like I'm talking about growing up, where domestic violence was quite normal in where I lived, and it was almost an accepted part. It wasn't quite accepted, but it was certainly, nobody would interfere if they knew that somebody was being bashed regularly. And in my situation growing up, I can remember a number of couples around where I lived who used to regularly get into DV battles. So just let yourself just broaden your perspective to it. So just keep opening it up. The heart chakra is beginning to move and shift and open. So I also know quite a lot of women who have been in relationships like that in the past, and then they've moved on and moved into healthier relationships. So just being aware of that as well. And if that is part of your story, your history, then just be really, really proud of yourself that you've managed to take actions and steps that have gotten you out of that circumstance, that situation. And let yourself just feel really proud of any moves that you had to make, any strategies that you had to employ in order to resolve any of that. Take a nice deep breath in, just release through all around the head. And just being aware this time of ancestral women, the women that were your ancestors, so your mother, your grandmothers, great-grandmothers, all the way back through all time, space, as far as you can go. And just being aware on behalf of all of the women. And just let yourself just feel your own strength. and your own wisdom around this, and your own knowledge that this is never appropriate. Take a big breath in, just release through the ajna, and then release through all of the head. And just being aware that domestic violence occurs across all forms. It happens to rich people, it happens to poor people, it happens to all kinds of people. Just let your consciousness expand a bit more. Narayani, 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 Narayani. Breathe in through the crown, expand through the head. And just being aware of any energy of shame around this or anything else. And also being aware of any fear around this in particular, or things that are similar to this. Breathing in through the crown and out through all of the head, in through the crown and out through the back of the neck. So being aware of when you were a child, and just being aware of what, whether it was okay for your parents to clip your ear, as they used to say in Scotland, to get your ear clipped, which means really that you'd be given a slap around your ear or your head. And you might have a different framework, but anything that's even remotely similar to that. Anytime where as a child you had to make any kind of bad behavior okay. Anytime you had to normalize inappropriate behavior. Breathe in through the crown and release through the ajna. And remember what we spoke about on Sunday, that the ajna chakra, the master chakra, can search for anything, absolutely anything. And it will find it because it has access to everything, everything. I want you to just focus in, just do some nostril breathing, just breathing through just your nostrils if you can. I'm just going to play a Gam Ganapataye. I want you just to focus on your breathing. I want you to be aware of any place where you have gathered evidence that it's okay in any way, shape or form for men to abuse women, push women, hit women, any of that. And Sandy will just keep holding the space as a man. Now, I know that domestic violence happens to men as well, but we're not going to deal with that just now. We're just going to deal with us as women, and the more often the way it really is, which is, domestic violence centres are full of women. So I want you just to really focus on where you've gathered evidence. I can see I'm aware of some places where your mum might have been pushed, or, just being aware anywhere where you've gathered the evidence that it's not safe to talk back, that it's easier to try to keep the peace, that it's easier to please the other person so that you don't have to deal with the temper or the aggression. Breathing in through the crown, release through the back of the head. We're just going to carry on with that, that chant for a little bit. And taking a big breath in, hold your breath momentarily and then just release it all through the head, the back of the neck, the ajna. And then take another breath in and just let the body just feel the breath. Just allow the body to receive the breath. And as you exhale the breath, just relax. Just release and relax. So what happens with all of this is that our systems go on high alert. And when we're on high alert, we produce chemicals that cause the fight or flight response. So just being aware of any fight or flight response, or freeze or fawn, or the other two. Just take a deep breath in, just release through the back of the navel, which is called the Meng Men. And just be aware, just release through the back of the navel, the chakra there. And then just be aware of two smaller points on either side of that chakra. And we often have two little dents there in our back. And just breathe in through the crown, release through the two little dents that are there. And then breathe in again through the crown and out through the back of the navel, the Meng Men. And just let your body relax. And then just let your attention come down to the base of your spine. And just hold your attention in the base of your spine. And from this point in the base of the spine, just be aware of the sacral area. And be aware as if you could come forward like in a sort of semi-circle, like a quarter of a circle. Just bring the energy from the base round to the front to the sixth chakra. And being aware that as you do that, you're coming through the perineum chakra. And that in actual fact, you're just kind of focused on three chakras for the moment. So the base, the perineum, and the sixth chakra, or sacral chakra, and just hold your energy there. So we're going to go to a fourth point, which is just underneath the navel chakra. And just bring that energy round until it comes down and into comes round and into the point underneath the navel, which is called the hara, or your womb space, whichever is easier for you to think about. Breathing in down to the base, and then gradually let the energy move through the perineum, the sacral, and round to the navel. When it gets to the navel, let it drop back down to the base, and then move it round again. And just let yourself just be aware of that womb space, that sacred space that is the womb. And for men, you would just be aware of the hara. And just being aware of that voidal energy. So one of the reasons that women tend towards that approval seeking and people pleasing is that we have this voidal energy within us. We have this voidal space, which men don't have. And so when we have an empty space, generally it will attract energy of some kind. And what we want it to be attracting is the energy of that we are good enough, that we are worthy. And we need to do this for ourselves, because otherwise it will attract other energies from other people and from outside of itself, because it will need to be filled in some way. So just being aware of the voidal energy of the womb. It's about the size of your fist when you're not pregnant. It's about the size of your fist. So it's not a huge area that you're attempting to fill. It's quite a focused and concentrated area. For men, it's the hara, and you can equally call the space the hara for women. And it's just, again, about the size of the fist. So just imagine that sort of pocket of voidal energy, or for men, that's more full. And when you imagine what it would feel like if that space was solid, if you didn't have that void in your belly, in your womb space. If it was solid, just imagine what it would feel like. And in that space, imagine what it would be like if you believed you were enough and that you didn't need anybody else's approval, that the divine, the creator, God, whatever you want to call the divine, had made you exactly perfectly. There was no mistakes whatsoever. In fact, it was impossible for the divine to make a mistake. And that anything that you've ever believed about yourself that is not positive and whole is actually a learning, a lesson, something that you're working through. Just being aware in that womb space of the perfection of you. And the perfection of you, that you don't have to prove anything to anybody, that you are already perfect and whole. You don't have to do something for somebody else for them to like you or love you. You just simply have to be yourself. And that is who you are, without masks, without creating something that is a vision of you and not the authentic you. Just like I was speaking about earlier when I was being very spiritually lovely. So just come into your authenticity in your belly. And just asking yourself, what's something about you that most people don't know? What is something about you? Where have you got strength? That you know you've got it. You know you have it. And just keep focusing in that space. And now imagine in the womb space, and it won't be from the womb space for you, it'll be elsewhere. But within the womb space, imagine in your mind's eye a warrior woman. It could be you, but you might find that initially it's a warrior woman come to speak to you. And this warrior woman is not just any warrior woman. She's something to do directly with you. She's directly here to speak to you. And you're going to ask her, how come you're compromising so much? What is it that you're afraid of? What is it that makes you back off of being your warrior woman? Yeah. There are a number of things that are often key. One is fear of various things. Not belonging is another one. Not feeling worthy is another one. And not feeling lovable. Feeling like you're not lovable. But if the divine created you, how could you be not lovable? How could that be? If the divine hasn't made any mistakes, is it possible even that the divine would create you and not make you lovable? It's impossible. If the divine created you, how could you be unworthy? You couldn't. It's impossible. And if the divine created you, how could you not belong when you're a human and you're part of the vast human race? And just be aware of any stories that you've told yourself or that have been told to you, or thoughts that have been repeated to you that would have you believe anything other than this. And really take back your power from those thoughts, that you need to be lovable. You need to be something more than you actually are. You don't. You don't need to be lovable to belong. You don't need to belong to be approved of. You already belong. You're already lovable. Just keep focusing on it. And just imagine that your inner child, in whatever shape or form that comes forward for you, just be aware of that part of you that has maybe had to put up with a whole lot of experiences that made them feel like they didn't belong or they weren't lovable, that they'd done somehow something wrong that had caused this terrible catastrophe, that you weren't enough. So God didn't make everybody else and then go, oh no, this is a discard, we're just going to discard this one. That is not what happened. And it is in actual fact an arrogance, believe it or not, to tell yourself that you're less than, because you're saying to God, oh no, you've made a mistake with me. Yeah. And you're saying to God, I'm not as good as, when in actual fact you were created perfectly. So in your mind's eye, being again aware of the warrior woman. And be aware of anything that she is saying to you. For Sandy, that'll be a man. And I want you to ask yourself the question, what is it that makes me keep giving my power away? What is it that makes me keep giving my power away? So I've immediately had my answer. It's that fast for me. And my answer is that I don't believe in myself enough. That's exactly what I've heard for myself. I don't believe in myself enough. Now, you might have a different answer. Your answer is equally perfect as mine. It's just as good as mine. And it's just as relevant. There's a lot of energy moving just now. Let's take a nice deep breath in through the crown and let the ajna and the crown expand simultaneously. And let the energy begin to pour down. It's sort of starting off a bit like a trickle. Just let it pour down and into the lower part of the body. And then I want you to sort of pull all the muscles in the lower part of the body up to meet that energy. Just keep your focus, your awareness in the lower part of the body. That's great. Keep it down low. That's it. This is your body, your partner for life. Keep your focus down and in the lower part of the body. This is what anchors our divine in the world. It's bringing it into your body, as above, so below. So we can do lots and lots of work in the upper realms, and we need to do that. But ultimately, we need to bring it down and into the body so that we can be practical on the earth plane and make a difference and bring and anchor our spirituality in our consciousness, which is really important because we all work on our consciousness. We all try to be greater than we've been. We try to be the best version of ourselves. So it's really important that we are offsetting the rest of humanity who might not be doing that. It's really important that each and every one of us does this. Don't underestimate it. Keep pulling the energy down. Hopefully you'll start to feel the energy within the upper part of the body and the lower part of the body. Pull it down, pull it down, pull it down. And then when you're aware in the lower part of your body, I want you to just hold it there for a moment or two. I want you to imagine that there's a ping pong ball in the lower part of the body, so in the womb space or the hara. I want you to imagine that you can move the ping pong ball. And with your out breath, you're going to move it. Just do a little bit of practice with the ping pong ball. And the out breath, I want you to pop it up towards your heart from your hara or womb space. Up towards the heart. And do that 2 or 3 times. And what will happen is it will create like a circuit between the lower part of the body and the heart. If it's too hard with a ping pong ball, then just imagine like I think it's called a cadius, isn't it? Where it's like a circle that goes round and round and round. It's not cadius, it's got another word. But anyway, like a circle moving through the heart, moving through the hara. And then I want you to come back to the hara or the womb space. And same thing, I want you to lift the energy up towards the head that comes through the pineal gland and down the back of the body. So up through the front, creating like a big oval. So you should already have some form of energy oval between the hara and the heart. And now you're creating the similar size oval, bigger through the pineal gland and back down the back and through the hara. And just keep going. And they will sort of start to settle into a rhythm. I want you to keep that rhythm. And just feel the heart energy and the love that you are for yourself being distributed through this process. That's it. Keep circling. take your time, and in your own time, I want you to make the circle or the oval shape through the heart, the hara in the heart, then the hara in the pineal gland through them, just in your own time. You'll naturally feel the movement to the next one. When it feels right, that's when to move. And if it doesn't feel right, then just stay with what you're doing. That's good. Okay. And we're just going to have a last piece of music. And just being aware for a second or two, just of whatever it was you brought to the table tonight, whether it was approval or people pleasing or being the victim or persecution, all of that stuff that we spoke about in the beginning. I want you just to let this just move through. Those circles will continue. And if you want, if you feel inclined to, you can make a bigger one through the hara and up to the above the crown chakra, about 8 inches above the crown chakra, so that you then have 3 ovals. And I might find an image of that and we can just share it at the end. Keep the energy rotations moving. And just breathing in, pull the energy down and into you. Feel those circles just turning golden. And that's it, that's good. And just let yourself rest down in the sacral region. So underneath the hara or the womb space, underneath in the sacral. Just let yourself just rest there. I want you just to imagine you can breathe into the sacral area. There's so much nonsense about the sacral or the sacred or sex. So much of it that's not true. Just keep your attention there. And just being aware there of loving yourself. That you've never done anything wrong and that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. That you are a divine soul having a human experience. And just being aware of that with the domestic violence in it, and that you've never done anything that ever deserved any form of violence towards you or your loved ones or your ancestors. You've never done anything that deserved that. Keep the focus in the sex chakra. You're doing really, really well. If you're finding that it's too much, just relax for a little bit and then bring your attention back to the sacral area, the sex chakra. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing to be ashamed of. That it's just a part of your body, just the same as you've got a nose and ears. Just like you've got hands, it's the same. It's just part of your body, regardless of how old you are, how long you might have thought like this, that there was something wrong. Come on, keep going. Keep trusting and letting any shame go. Let it release. Give yourself permission. Ask for assistance. Good. And just being aware of your head and being aware of any sort of thought processes that have been developed where you've thought you were wrong or you'd done something wrong or you deserved any form of mistreatment whatsoever. You want to imagine like a windsock. I hope everybody knows what a windsock looks like. But just imagine it's like a tube coming down over your head. It's a white tube and it's a see-through tube. You can sort of see through it and it feels very safe. When it comes down, it's at least 6 inches out from your body. So it doesn't feel tight. It doesn't feel in any way difficult. And just let it come down and let it just kind of, as it comes down, let it sort of then cling to your body like a second skin. And it just comes up as far as the top of your neck. So just underneath your chin and the back of your head. And then it has a tight cap comes over the head, a bit like Kathy Freeman's outfit that she wore when she won that 400-meter gold medal. A bit like that, but the whole of the suit is white. If it's another color, that's fine. But to me, it looks white and yellow or white and gold. So there's a gold rim around the face. And just be aware of this suit. Just keeping it on, keeping it attached to your body. Just being aware that this suit is semi-permeable. And any negative energy that you've taken on from anybody else at any time in any dimension can leave through the semi-permeable membrane. And no negative energy whatsoever can enter. So I want you to check, particularly around the sacral region, checking around all of the base of the body, all of the perineum, all of the sixth chakra. I want you to check that area, that there are no holes or tears. It's completely sealed and it's semi-permeable and nothing negative can enter. All around that area, that's great. I want you just to be aware of the navel. I want you to check again that there's no tears or perforations of any kind. And then the back of the navel, then the back of the heart and the front of the heart. Just making your way up your body, back of the throat, the neck, front of the throat. Checking your ears are covered. So that there's only your face, your glorious face. And just being aware of when you were a small person, like maybe 18 months old, and your face won't have actually changed that much, that our heads have sort of almost grown to their full size by that time. Just being aware of your face, being aware of the suit, the bodysuit. And just allow yourself to just feel the perfection of being you within this. You've done nothing wrong, you never did. You were only ever learning and growing. That's good. As we give thanks to the Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father, our souls and our divine selves, we ask that these suits remain in place for 21 days and that all negative energies continue to leave. May we become self-realized. May we truly come to know and understand our family patterns and dynamics, our inherited patterns, and may we release them for the good of ourselves and for all of humanity, for our loved ones. And may we move forward through the world with ease and grace, gratitude, and realize the perfection of our lives as they are right now. We ask this in full faith through the divine grace, so be it. And take a breath in, release through the ajna. To sort of stretch that suit in any way. You know how sometimes if you pull on something really tight, it can kind of get a bit stuck. Just kind of imagine you could pull it until it's really, really comfortable. Just like keeping you warm, keeping you safe. And I'm going to ask Archangel Michael to oversoul the suits, that they dissolve in 21 days. Coming in through the crown into the back of the heart. Just relax. Release through the back of the heart, and then breathe in through the crown, relax and release through the front of the heart. And breathe in through the crown down to the sacral region. Give thanks to the Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father, our souls, our divine selves. Give thanks to Sri Shakti Narayani Amma, all of the great ones who assisted us. We give thanks to our teams of guides, teachers, and friends in the spiritual hierarchy who love us unconditionally. We give thanks for each other and for this community. We give thanks for our friends and our family, our spiritual teachers, and all of those who have contributed to our learning and our growth. In full faith, so be it. And when you're ready, just beginning to come back, and you can rub your hands together and put them over your eyes. And coming back when you're ready. And I'm just going to stop the recording.